In early December 2024, the regime of Bashar al-Assad, which had ruled Syria for 24 years, finally crumbled. His entire family had no choice but to flee the country and seek refuge abroad. But their escape is only one part of the story. Bashar's wife, Asma al-Assad, born in the UK, is seriously ill. She is battling leukemia, and her condition is getting worse. For years, she wasn't just the president's wife. She played a key role in the state's management and public image. But what happens now to the wife of Syria's infamous dictator? What does life in exile look like for her, and how is she dealing with her illness? In this video, we will uncover the answers to these questions. Stay with us to learn the truth about her life after the fall from power. For nearly 50 years, the Assad family ruled Syria with an iron fist. Their regime was known for fear, oppression, and bloodshed. But it all came to an end on December 8, 2024, when opposition forces overthrew Bashar al-Assad. The family had no option but to flee the country. Their escape was dramatic, relying on secret underground tunnels and support from allies in other nations. Throughout all these years, one person remained by Bashar's side: his wife, Asma al-Assad. She wasn't just a mother to their 3 children. She was deeply involved in managing Syria's economic interests. Asma was a figure both admired and criticized. The media once called her Syria's Lady Diana and the Rose of the Desert. But as the regime's crimes became more widely known, those titles turned into something darker. She became known as Lady Macbeth, or the First Lady of Hell. How did a woman born and raised in the UK, the daughter of a doctor, and once a simple bank employee, end up as the wife of one of the world's most notorious dictators? Let's dive into her story. Asma al-Assad, born Asma Fawaz Akraz on August 11, 1975, spent her early years far from the political chaos of the Middle East. She grew up in a family that blended Syrian traditions with a Western lifestyle in Acton, a busy area in West London. Her father, Dr. Fawaz Akraz, was a respected cardiologist, and her mother, Sahar Akraz, worked as a diplomat at the Syrian embassy in London. Despite their ties to Syria, the family lived a life well integrated into British society. Asma's education reflected her family's high aspirations. She attended Twyford Church of England High School, a diverse and lively school where she excelled. Later, she moved to Queen's College in Maida Vale, where she continued to shine as a bright, ambitious student. After finishing school, she earned a first-class degree in computer science and French literature from King's College London in 1996. After university, Asma stepped into the fast-paced world of investment banking. She started her career at Deutsche Bank before moving to JP Morgan, where she quickly earned a strong reputation. At the time, she was known by her friends and colleagues as Emma, a name that reflected her smooth integration into British life. One family friend described her as very English, noting that she seemed more focused on her career and Western life than on the politics of the Middle East. Asma's early years portrayed a young woman with a promising future in finance, far removed from the complexities of Syrian politics. But little did anyone know, this ambitious banker would one day find herself at the center of one of the world's most controversial regimes. Asma's life took a turn in the late 1900s when her mother, Sahar, reportedly encouraged her to reconnect with Bashar al-Assad, who was then an ophthalmology student in London. They had known each other as children through mutual friends in Syria, but their relationship grew stronger during their time in London. Bashar at the time was far from the image of a future president. He was reserved, passionate about medicine, and more focused on his studies than his father's political legacy. However, tragedy struck in 1994 when Bashar's older brother Basil, who had been groomed to take over his father's role, died in a car accident. This sudden loss thrust Bashar into the position of heir apparent, a role he had never expected or prepared for. Bashar returned to Syria, abandoning his medical career, and his father quickly enrolled him in fast-track military training. By 2000, when his father died, Bashar was ready to assume power. After a widely criticized election, he became president, securing 97% of the vote, and continued the Assad family's hold on Syria. Asma, meanwhile, was at a crossroads. She had a successful career at JP Morgan and had plans to start an MBA at Harvard. But her growing connection to Bashar changed everything. When asked why she gave up her prestigious career, she simply said, "Who would choose Harvard over love?" In 2000, she resigned from her job at JP Morgan just 1 month before their wedding. Her decision shocked her colleagues, especially since it came right after she had closed a major deal and was about to receive a substantial bonus. Her boss couldn't believe her timing and initially thought she might be having a breakdown. Asma later reflected on the moment, saying, "I just wanted out. I'd had enough." The wedding of Asma and Bashar in December 2000 took many by surprise. Unlike typical high-profile marriages, theirs was kept a secret until it was officially announced. Their union sparked speculation, with many interpreting it as a symbol of modernization and reform for Syria. Asma, a Sunni Muslim from a westernized background, married Bashar. However, Asma's life as First Lady didn't start with glamorous events or international recognition. Instead, she traveled across rural Syria in the first weeks of her marriage, dressed simply in jeans and a t-shirt, meeting ordinary Syrians. She wanted to meet the people before the world met her. She visited 100 villages across 13 of Syria's 14 governorates, listening to their challenges and thinking about how she could make a difference. This journey shaped her early work as First Lady. She focused on initiatives to improve education, economic opportunities, and rural development. Asma founded the Syria Trust for Development, a network of charitable organizations operating under the government. Her efforts gained international attention, and she was even listed as one of the Middle East's most influential Arabs. To many, she seemed like a reformer, a modern, educated woman using her position to make positive changes in Syria. Before the Syrian civil war broke out in 2011, Asma was celebrated as a symbol of female empowerment in the Middle East. International media embraced her with profiles painting her as a progressive force. In February 2011, Vogue famously called her a rose in the desert, describing her as stylish, compassionate, and deeply committed to modernizing Syria. But this polished image quickly crumbled as Syria erupted into civil war, and the regime's brutal actions came to light. The glowing Vogue article became a source of controversy, with critics accusing the magazine of being part of a public relations effort for a regime that was now terrorizing its own people. By 2012, Asma's image had dramatically shifted. She was no longer seen as a progressive force, but as a complicit figure in the violence and destruction caused by her husband's regime. Leaked emails revealed her lavish spending on luxury goods, while Syrians suffered from bombs, starvation, and displacement. Her indulgent lifestyle, in stark contrast to the suffering of the Syrian people, fueled anger and resentment. In 2012, Asma faced intense scrutiny. Her silence in the face of the regime's actions, as well as her luxury shopping, led to widespread criticism. Analysts suggested that she had grown increasingly comfortable with the power and wealth of her position. The emails and images of extravagant parties painted a picture of a woman disconnected from the struggles of her country. The world's view of Asma shifted dramatically. Once seen as a symbol of hope and progress, she became widely regarded as a symbol of betrayal. She became a persona non grata in much of the world, with both the European Union and the United States imposing sanctions on her for her involvement in Syria's economy. In the UK, an investigation was launched into claims that Asma incited war crimes. In 2018, Asma revealed that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer and shared her battle publicly. She appeared in photos during her treatment, projecting strength and resilience. A year later, she announced her full recovery. But in May 2024, it was revealed that she had been diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. This forced her to step back from public duties as she focused on her treatment. Critics have questioned whether these health announcements were timed to divert attention from the regime's actions or to gain sympathy. In 2024, the Assad family's regime finally fell. Despite heavy support from Russia and Iran, by the end of 2024 their assistance waned, and the regime could no longer hold power. Bashar's allies urged him to flee, and the family escaped Syria aboard a private jet, using a Russian airbase for their departure to avoid international detection. The Assad family now resides in Moscow, where they have been granted political asylum. Russia, a longtime ally of the Assad regime, has refused to hand them over to international courts, despite widespread calls for justice. Moscow has become their sanctuary, offering them protection and comfort in exile. The Assad family continues to live in luxury in Moscow, with estimates of their wealth at around $2 billion. Despite their fall from power, they maintain their privileged lifestyle thanks to vast real estate holdings and international connections. Ozma's family, including her parents, are believed to have joined her in Russia, and the family is rumored to live in one of Moscow's most exclusive locations, the City of Capitals complex. Ozma's personal story is a complicated one. Once a promising banker, she now lives in exile, her reputation tarnished, her movements restricted, and her health uncertain. It is a tragic end to a life that once held so much potential, highlighting the cost of aligning herself with one of the world's most controversial regimes. What do you think lies ahead for Asma Alpesu and her family? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video.